Right, we need to talk about Ofcom. You know, the UK regulator of media, and in the past year a complete and utter joke. Or should I say it's been a complete and utter joke before all that. But what we're talking about here is the past year, because with all this going on, you can almost prove that we don't have freedom of the press. We have obey the narrative or you'll be punished. And I'm sure at this point you all know about government plans to give up to 14 years in prison to journalists who embarrass them with leaked information, because a tin pot dictatorship is real in this clown country these days. This goes with something I covered last summer when Ofcom changed the broadcasting code to essentially say toe the government line on health policy or find yourself in the Ofcom gulag. We criticise the media all the time, and rightly so, for their corrupt complicity in almost everything bad that happens to this country, but over their heads is always Ofcom. A worthless sack of shit that actually blocked me on Twitter when I called them out the absolute clowns. Now, of course, they do allow dissenting voices to speak on TV due to the human rights to freedom of expression, but actually state nothing can cause harm to viewers, which means in the end the government line must be the final word. This is why you often see one anti-lockdown commentator on TV against 2 or 3 pro-lockdown ones, and the host is always there to get the last word in for the government. Shit, they even clarified this on the 26th of May 2020 following enforcement action against small radio stations and a few little notes telling broadcasters to be careful with what they report. This change was what I actually covered last year, but it's still relevant now, and most don't know about it still to this day, so let's do it again here. In May 2020, they actually said there is a particular need for factual statements about coronavirus to be presented with appropriate care, given the ongoing significant national and international concerns about the crisis. In particular, we strongly advise you to take particular care when broadcasting, for example, unverified information about the coronavirus. This may include, for instance, discussions of unverified theories for the cause of coronavirus and discussions of potential treatments or cures for the coronavirus that do not align with public health advice of the NHS or other public health authorities. Statements that seek to question or undermine the health of public bodies on the coronavirus or otherwise undermine people's trust in the advice of mainstream sources of information about the disease. And they finish it up there talking about the 4 different nations in the UK. We don't need to care about that. They're just saying they have different guidance and different policies, so you have to take care with that. Either way, all of those little points there are rather concerning to me and kind of say you don't have freedom of the press. In fact, I would suggest it actually proves it beyond all doubt. It goes on, Ofcom underlines that the code does not prohibit the broadcasting of controversial views which diverge from or challenge official authorities on public health information. However, such views should always be placed into context and not be presented in such a way to risk undermining viewers' trust in official health advice, which in the current context could have potentially serious consequences for public health. So essentially, don't say the government are wrong unless the government admits that they are wrong first. This explains why no one in the media says a word when Boris Johnson or any of them talk provable bullshit on TV. They just parrot what he says and ignore the stupidity of it literally with a straight face. Ofcom goes on, though, it is for each broadcaster to make an editorial decision about how to provide adequate protection to their audience in the circumstances. It would be achieved in a number of ways, including by ensuring timely and robust challenge by programme presenters or other guests. Like I said, that's why they've got 3 or 4 people on there always supporting the government narrative against one. I don't think I've actually seen 2 anti-lockdown people on the same programme yet. Let me know in the comments if any of yous lot have. They go on, presenters should therefore be ready to intervene to provide sufficiently strong challenge and context in the event of programme contributors making potentially inaccurate or harmful comments about the coronavirus. So, if someone goes against the narrative and they're 100% right literally with evidence, presenters must still run damage control for government policy even if it could be wrong. At the end of the day, the wording potentially in there allows them to literally define anything you say, even if you have evidence as wrong, get you off the programme and then hope that no one actually picks up on it. I would say it's all incredible, but let's be honest, at this point I kind of expect this sort of shit. The most corrupt tin pot African dictator-led countries don't hold a candle to the banana republic this country has become, let me tell you that. Our political class have sent this country down the toilet for decades, with our current crop being possibly the most corrupt bunch of scumbags ever to walk the earth. I sit here struggling to find any evidence to suggest most of them have any level of moral decency you could actually live by. In fact, I've had beer shits with more consistency or moral compass than the powers that be in this country. Ofcom is obviously up there with them. But essentially in this one the media has its hands tied behind its back and will soon have its mouth gagged by the threat of 14 years in the slammer for exposing our shit weasel government. Them exposing any government will not be happening again after this. Literally all journalists who claim to hold power to account are talking shit. They are puppets even more so now than they was before.